Hey, this is Coach Marty,
And this is Lori.
and it's time for That Sports Couple.
What?
Brought to you by
Diamond Distributing.
Colonial Exterminating Company,
Edward Jones, C. Robert Email.
Wendy Benedetto, Ladder and Blue,
Sports Pub, Dexterhead.
Adam Roussel, Riverbed, Chiropractic, River Parishes Trophies,
The Seafood Pod. Welcome to That Sports Couple Podcast. I'm Lori Lyons. He's Marty Luquet. And this is our first official That Sports Couple Podcast. We're sorry we're a little late getting started. Both of us came down with COVID last week, and we were out of commission for a little while. But here we are getting our first podcast episode underway this week. Number one. Hopefully number one in your hearts as well. So be patient with us. We promise we'll get better as we go, or at least we'll try to. Okay, there you go. So tell us what this podcast is all about, Marty.
Well, when we became retired and we decided we needed something to do, a little extra. Something
He's not handy.
Something to prepare for and look forward to. And, the Christ-like man I am, I prayed on it, and this is what was delivered to me. We won't be perfect, and we're hoping that it'll be entertaining. But this is something that Lori had talked about for quite a while.
I've been trying to get him to do this for a long time.
She wanted me to do this with my son, but this is something we're now going to do, and I think it'll be fun, and we're looking forward to it, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you are looking for hard football facts, and this player is the guy to watch for, and this is who you got, you're in the wrong place.
We are not going to mansplain football to you.
We want you to at that point. There are plenty of guys that are doing this. Eric Ritchie's doing it, and Ulysses Fronta, and them, and there's other places you can go. Even you can speak with Frank.
Let's be frank.
He does a fabulous job talking about what's going on. And, if that's what you want, then that's where you need to go. But we're going to try to be more homey, bring in more things. And this week's going to be kind of limited because of the COVID. But we're going to expand it to where we have more interviews and different things. So this week might be a little short, but we're looking forward to at least getting started.
So I have been trying to get Marty to do a podcast. The old coach, he's got 1,000 stories. He's told a couple of them, entertained you. I'm tired of listening to him, and he needs a new audience. But anyway, let me introduce you to my husband. This is Marty Luquet, the coach, the old ball coach, Mr. Baseball. He just wrapped up a 30-year career as a high school baseball coach. He started at John F. Kennedy, went to O'Perry Walker, almost coached at Hammond High School, but didn't. Then took a 10-year break to be the assistant recreation director in St. Charles Parish, and that's when he met me. And then he got lured out of retirement, became the coach at St. James for a year, then went to Dexterhead for 15 years. The day our daughter walked out after her graduation, he walked out with her. And he was kind of sitting on the sofa and driving me a little crazy because he's not handy. And I ran into some people at Riverside, and they said, "What's Marty doing?" And I said, "Please come get him off of my sofa." And they did. And so he became the assistant baseball coach at Riverside Academy with Craig Laborde. And then Craig stepped down the next year. Marty became the head coach of Riverside. And then last year, we both walked out on the last day of school and said, we're retired. And since then, that's kind of what we've been doing. But he did get his 500th win. And one day we'll pan around the room and you can see his big 500th win. And that's the day he got his 500th win. That's his late Father's Day gift. He got dunked. And I told the kids, asked me, can we dunk him? And I said, I'll be mad if you don't. So they did. They carried that Gatorade around for.
Yeah, probably wasn't very cold at the end.
Well, they brought it with them to a couple of games. It took a little while to get that 500th win, but he has more than 500 wins now. And I think you're done with the coach. He did get an offer. You want me to tell him? He did. He was asked if he would like to be the coach of the Baton Rouge Rougarou and be able to tour East Texas and Western Louisiana. But he kind of said, no. So now he's trying to turn his life towards his ministry, which he's like to get started, and
Win the day.
Win the Day Ministries. And he's catching up on all the videos that you and I have been watching on the internet for the last couple of years. He's finally seen the whale in the net. So there you go. Everybody will know what I'm talking about except you. Go ahead.
Probably. And I get the opportunity to introduce Lori. And
Be nice.
For a lot of people in the River Parishes that grew up and played sports, Lori was your sports writer. Anyone from 50 years on down till to 20 now, she covered your games. She was very active in eight different schools. Of course, everybody thought she gave more coverage to the other school than they did.
That means you're doing your job.
But that just means there's a lot of schools to cover. When I first met her, she had already won her first Sports Writer of the Year award.
Prep writer.
Yeah, Prep Writer of the Year award, and so she was well on her way to fame and fortune. The one thing about the Picayune was she loved it. She enjoyed it. She felt like she was a part of the communities, and that made it special for her. After 26 years, the Picayune purged, and she ended up being one of 400 writers that were let go. She bounced around a little bit. She picked up some stuff at the Observatory. She did some freelance stuff. And then my mother got sick. So she kind of had to back out of that and start taking care of my mother. So she did that for a couple years until my mother passed away in 2014. And then she had an opportunity at that point to go back to writing a little bit. And she did. She was the prep editor at the Observatory. And then
COVID.
Yeah, and then her mother got sick. So then she once again had to back off and come take care of her mother, and who stayed with us for a little over a year. So she's been taking care of two mothers, which she's going to write a book about.
Yes, I am.
And she's been a sports writer for over 30 years. And then 2 years ago or a year ago, she was inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Now, I tell everybody that I am married to a Hall of Fame sports writer. I'm sorry. If you know me, you know how proud I am of what she's accomplished.
You're sweet.
Then she had the opportunity to go teach at Riverside Academy, and she loved it. She thought this is what she should have been doing.
It was always in the back of my mind. I wanted to teach someday.
Teaching is not easy. Certainly not easy at 50. Learning it at 50. But she did a great job. And then once they gave her, the opportunity to teach journalism,
writing,
excuse me, and things kind of took off at school, and she loved it. She loved the kids. She loved being around. She loved Riverside Academy, and it's a special place to her and I, and but now we're going to try something different.
Brought to you by Diamond Distributing. They're the guys who deliver the Hubig's pies.
Lemon!
No apple. If you don't see your favorite pie and freeze-dried goodies at your store, have them call Diamond Distributing. Brought to you by Robert Hemel at Edward Jones Investing on Belterre Boulevard in Laplace. Trust Robert with all your investment needs.
Brought to you by Wendy Benedetto at Ladder and Bloom. If you are buying or selling your home, call the best in the business. Let Wendy Benedetto get you home. Welcome back to That Sports Couple. But as we get through each week, we're going to talk about different things and things that are important in the New Orleans area and the River Parishes specifically. One of those is, at this time is the loss of a good friend of ours in Ed Daniels. Ed, Ed, everyone knows Ed from the sportscast for the Saints and what he's done for WGNO and even for his close friendship with Kenny Trahan and the Three Tailgaters and that work he's done there. And his body of work is second to none. It's been fabulous. But most importantly, and this time of year, because let's be honest, this is the most special time of the year. We are 1 week from opening day football season. And we can say what we want as coaches of other sports. Football drives the ship. And if I have been at schools where the football team was bad, and it is a miserable place to be. And I have been at schools where the football team has been state champions, and it's a fabulous place to be. And anything in between there, it all has its different levels. And this is that special time of the year.
It's different, too, after all those years of being a sports writer and being neutral and covering the games. It was so special to be actually a part of it, to be a fan, to have those kids actually be in my classroom and actually be my students, and then to go out and cheer for them on Friday nights as they played their game. And I'm so glad I got to experience that at Riverside and be a fan and cheer for them and see their faces on Monday when they would come in the classroom, and pep rallies and wearing the ribbons and dressing up days and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I did all that in high school, but it's different when you're the teacher and they're your students. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed every minute of it. I didn't enjoy policing the pep rallies, but
and you never forget that. I mean, I went from being one of the football coaches and being on that sideline and running out and being here in that crowd and that band and all the cheerleaders and all the excitement. And, when I tell baseball players when they say, man, I don't know if I'm going to play football, you need to play football just for that experience, just to be a part of that is so, so special. And that's what makes high school football what it is. And then, of course, we're talking about Ed Daniels, and he took our Friday nights and brought it back into our living room again. He was able to come out, get videos and entertain, and we get to see what everybody did, and we get to see a little something. Look, JT and Ed may not have been the most professional-looking group, but they certainly were knowledgeable, and they brought it into our living room. We got used to it. This is what we expected, and it's pretty special, and we're gonna miss Ed. I know they're gonna do the show, and they're gonna have somebody else there, but it's not quite the same. I personally got to have a relationship with Ed through baseball, where he came and covered my teams as we went to the state tournaments. It started in '86. He came again in 2000, 3, 4, and 5 at Destrehan.
And then he showed up when you got to Riverside. He came out and did a story.
86 was at O'Perry Walker. And then I came out to be Craig's assistant, and Ed shows up there to do a story about, the old coach coming out of retirement.
And Craig was like, why is Ed Daniels here?
And then he came back again later and did stories certainly on the kids and in the playoffs, and then of course the 500. So he's always been a part of my life, and we were introduced by a guy by the name of Bill Baumgartner, and Bill once told me, it doesn't matter how good your teams are. If we don't write about you, nobody knows it.
That's true.
And I never realized how truthful that. When he said it, I'm like, yeah, right. We win championships. We're good. The players are good. They work hard. We'll get our recognition. No, they are the recognition. And Ed Daniels did such a special job of bringing that into your living room. And let's face it, Lori had to deal with it. When TV is present,
you always have to wait.
The regular paper writers have to wait
because everybody wants to be on TV, and I'm on deadline, and I'm trying to get my quotes in and out really quickly. But I always had to wait for Ed, and sometimes I just stood behind him. And I was short; I could stand under his microphone and just kind of listen to whatever quotes he got, I would steal. But yeah, a lot of times we had to wait for the TV guys to finish. Ed and I bumped each other in press boxes and sidelines, and we served together on the Greater New Orleans Sugar Bowl Hall of Fame committee for 30 years. We would meet once a month to pick the amateur athlete of the month and the yearly award winners and the Hall of Fame inductees, and he was on the committee. We were together with a bunch of other crusty old sports dudes, and uh, yeah, he will be missed. He will be felt. I'm sure there's gonna be times where everybody's gonna say, "Where's Ed? Ed should be here," and he should. He will definitely be missed. He brought a lot. I think his Friday night football show started the same year that I got to the River Parishes in '91, and it was, we were kind of a little parallel line there, and he really did bring to football, high school football, great publicity and enjoyment. The cheerleaders would love to get filmed on the sidelines. The mascots, everybody knew who they were and what they were there to do, and it really did bring high school football, I think, to the forefront. But he's right. Right now, the River Parishes, Laplace Reserve, is kind of in a little no man's land. There's no paper to cover sports. And I think people feel it, and there's nobody giving you guys your scrapbook material, and nobody's covering your games. And I don't know what they're going to do this year as far as that. So um, you feel it when you miss it when it's gone, and you feel it when it's missing. And I think we're going to all feel that way with Ed this year.
No doubt. And Kenny Trahan and Crescent City Sports do a great job of keeping us updated each week with the scoreboard during the games and the call-ins and people checking in, and they'll be able to do that still. And well, hey, we're very lucky. We're very fortunate to have two people who happen to be best friends of Ed Daniels and Kenny Trahan. I know right now as we speak, we're filming this on Wednesday night that Kenny Trahan's at Riverside speaking. Last week he was at St. Charles speaking. Friends of the River Parishes, no reason not to be, because let's face it, the best football is played in the River Parishes.
That's exactly right. Always.
So we're going to go to a short break here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about how we got started in this careers, and then we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming games. So, brought to you by Colonial Exterminating Company, a local family-owned company that will help you get rid of your termites, pests, and rodents. They're a Christ-based company looking forward to serving you.
Brought to you by the Sports Pub in Destrehan. For fabulous food and big screen TVs, come to the Sports Pub for all the action. It's a must after your big game. Brought to you by Tri-Parish Trophies in Reserve. When it's time to acknowledge someone's accomplishments, let Tri-Parish Trophies help. They're also your sign and printing professionals. Let them help you. They're a family-owned company. Brought to you by the Seafood Pot in New Sarpy, the best seafood in the River Parishes. Crabs, shrimp, seafood platters, po' boys, and those daiquiris. Doesn't get any better than the Seafood Pot.
Hey, welcome back. Now we're going to talk about this week's games, and we're going to talk about rivalries. We're going to talk, what makes a big game in the River Parishes, and what makes a rivalry. Obviously, when our teams play each other, that's a big game for us, and we look forward to. We got one this week, and we're going to feature that one first, and then we'll move on. So
I used to love it when River Parish team would play River Parish team, because one, that meant I was usually staying close to home, and also it's fun when it's two of our teams that play each other. We consider the River Parishes teams Destrehan, East St. John, Hawnville, Lutcher, Riverside, St. Charles, St. James, and West St. John. Those are the 8 schools that I used to cover in the River Parishes, and that I have all the histories on. I have all the coaches, and I have every score of every game ever played since I got here in 1990. So if you need to look up the score, I got it. Anyway, so this week the big game would be probably the game I would cover if I was still covering games. Would be St. James and East St. John, two River Parishes teams that are strong traditions, both Wildcats, and two local teams that are going to get the community fired up. This is not one of those rivalries that goes way, way back to, like the 1920s or 1930s or anything like that. They did play sporadically in the early 2000s and over the years, but they never established a year-to-year thing. Letcher and East St. John used to play every year until they got mad at each other. So St. James, East St. John, Coach Davis took over in 2022 and took the Wildcats to the Division III non-select title last year. They lost to Union Parish. And Coach Brandon Brown at East St. John is building the E. I love that. Building a program. I know they did a lot of work on their field house and weight room. I've seen pictures. It looks really nice. He's been coached since 2018. And they went 7-4 last year. Last year, these two teams played. East St. John won 41-40 in overtime. I wasn't there. I do believe they stopped a 2-point conversion to seal the win. That's what I remember about that one. Talk about this game.
Well, there's so many athletes on the field here.
Speed, kills.
Yeah, there's just so many athletes on the field, and that's what makes this game, so fun. If you're a college coach, obviously you're looking for skills people here, but they're also big and strong, and the tradition of the two schools back from when Coach Laurie, who was at East St. John,
Lou Bowden.
And from Gailey, those guys, they're just, the traditions are so deep here that and the rivalry and the love of their school, it just makes it so much fun. It's going to be a fabulous game. The last 2 years, last year you said it, you said it went double overtime, and the year before it was a 6-point game.
So, there you go.
It's going to be close. It's going to come down to the wire, and they will have a few. You have some notes. They have quite a few guys back.
Yes.
So there's going to be experience on the field. So it's not going to be we don't know what we have. We know what we have, and we know what's going to happen.
But you can. First of all, it's week 1, and second, this is one of those games. Whether it was week 1 or week 10, you could throw your records out because anything can happen. And especially, isn't it supposed to rain through Friday? Now everybody's got turf now, so that may not make a big difference. But this would be one of those muddy games that hold on to the football, but you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, and if it's raining during the game, now it's a matter of who can run the ball better.
I know one thing.
What do you know?
The jambalaya is going to be really good at this game. I might go get some. So East St. John and St. James, may the best Wildcat win. Get it? See what I did there. Okay, there you go. Next, Marty says the next big game is Destrehan and Catholic. And this is another one of those games. I went through my little book. I have a book that I keep. I do not have a Destrehan Catholic score anywhere. I'm not saying they never played. I'm just saying I don't remember them playing. If they did, it was long before the split, maybe in a playoff game or something. But there's no, I don't know of any rivalry here. But
and I've asked some Destrehan people, and nobody remembers one. So we're gonna go the assumption that this is the first time in a while. So we're talking about two heavyweights here. This doesn't get bigger than this. Ask me where I'm going to be. Sitting with the old guys. Ulysses, Chuck, make room.
Bring a chair.
I'm bringing a chair. Come sit by you in front of the field house. Because this is going to be a big one. This is going to be big time, and it's going to have effects throughout the year. Destrehan has had great tradition. Seldom loses a regular season game, and of course, Catholic falls under that same category as they are the select 5A state champs from last year. So, and Destrehan has won 2 years ago. So we're talking about,
this is going to be a good game.
Destrehan got upset last year in the quarterfinals against Zachary, and that one came out of nowhere because no one expected that, especially at home. But this is going to be fun to watch, and there's lots of experience on the field here too. you know. But these teams are so big and they're so good that they don't ever rebuild.
No.
They just reload, you know. And certainly there's plenty of weapons in this game.
The next game, I don't want to make anybody mad, but here we go. Terrebonne, my alma mater, versus Riverside, my former employer. And as I said, it's very different when the players on the field are kids that you taught, that would come to your class and hang out, and that, you know, you just love and things like that. So, but it's Terrebonne. That's my school. So anyway, this is going to be an interesting one. Terrebonne's a 5A. That's kind of on the way up. Their coach is Tyler Lewis. He's a West St. John grad. And he's doing really good things over there. And Riverside, we all know, was the 1A state runner-up last year. And we were all in the dome cheering for them and cheering for our kids. And so this is going to be an interesting game, Marty.
Well, it is, because Terrebonne, I saw Terrebonne last year, and there's plenty of speed, plenty of weapons, and they're huge up front. So there'll be quite a challenge.
They grow big on the bayou.
There'll be quite a challenge for Riverside. But guys, let's be honest. I mean, Lee Roussel came in there and did a fabulous job over the last 2 years. Who dreamed that they'd play in the championship game
that quickly? And I'm sure he's ahead of what his plans are. He won't admit that now, but since he's been there. But the combination of Lee Roussel and Chris Latchney is preparation. I'm talking about day to day in weight room, all the work they do, all the prep they put in. You're not finding a better coaching staff, you know, doing than what they're doing there, and taking those kids and making giant leaps. Now they graduated an offensive line. They have some question marks there. Their defense is almost totally back. They're going to be very solid there. They've got their quarterback. Of course, they have Derek Lasney. You know, they have Brock Bourgeois to be the quarterback back. They have some great skills. And Dedrick, the fastest man in River Parishes.
And Dedrick put up 2,000 yards last year, and there's no reason to.
But I'm taller than him. But he'll argue. But I'm taller than him.
You know, and there's no question that he's fabulous, and Riverside has a chance against anybody they play.
Absolutely.
Because of their staff and because of the kind of prep they do. So it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be fun to watch and to watch those scores roll in and see.
All right, Rebels, when y'all get to Terrebonne, you see all that red and gold, crimson and gold, and all those tigers. Think of me. Just kidding. The next big game of the week, St. Charles and Newman. Again, here we go. St. Charles and Newman. There's a lot of uptown River Parishes angst going on there. They've played each other a lot, but St. Charles usually handles it, right?
You know, one of the things that makes for a great rivalry is when you
Both
win
teams win.
and we win and you win. Well, this is not, if you're using that as your criteria, this is not a great rivalry because St. Charles just wastes them. St. Charles beat them last year. They were both 9-0 going into the last game of the season, and St. Charles beat them 28-0. So they are not in the same league anymore. St. Charles has moved into the 3A, 4A.
And I think they've lost a little bit this year, yeah? Haven't they lost some graduated?
Once again,
Good point. Never mind.
When Wayne Stein is in charge of a team, it doesn't matter if it's what they're swinging bats or
they squeeze. I said this about Frank. He squeezes every amount of talent out of those kids he can get. Then Wayne learned that lesson from Frank.
And Wayne may do it better. You know, as the amount of talent and what they're able to do and how he's able to coach them up. And just the energy they bring to it. It's like, you know, there were times over the last 4 years where you're watching them and you go, they're not anywhere near as good as this team, and they find a way to win because they just will it. And that is one of the things about St. Charles is they will their way to victory. And I expect that to continue.
They expect to win.
I expect that to continue. I don't expect anything to change there. Newman has plenty of weapons. They have, you know, one of the best quarterbacks in the area coming back, and he can run a little bit. He can do some special things, and they're going to be good. It is week 1, you know, but nobody does a better job preparing their team than Wayne does. So week one doesn't bother me.
That'll be a fun one to watch,
It
though.
will.
Then let's see. Oh, Hornbill. Hornbill plays Booker T. Washington, ushering in the new coach, Greg Boyne, over at Hornbill. Coach, what do you know about Hornbill?
Well, they have some weapons, and they're young, and they're inexperienced, and Greg's going to take over. And Greg did a fabulous job with Destrehan's offense. He's going to bring that energy over to Hornbill. You know, I know that they've adjusted their schedule. Last year they played a lot of really good 5A schools and ended up on the short end, as well as playing Lutcher in the middle of the season during your break in district. So they've lightened up that schedule a little bit, but I don't think that's going to matter. I think they've got plenty of talent, and I think that they'll find that Greg will do good things. They have Booker T this week. That's an unknown. Coming out of New Orleans.
You never know with New Orleans teams.
That's a money game for them. They're coming out to get paid, and but they may have some athletes they bring with them. You just don't know.
Right.
Usually, the one thing about New Orleans teams, and having coached one for so long, the first 10 years of my career, is that they're usually not prepared on week one. They just don't do the summer work that the River Parish teams do. They don't put that in. A lot of those kids come from
even with 7-on-7 stuff now.
Well, they'll make that, but they have to work. Their families need that extra income, and they'll need to work in the summertime, so they're not spending all that. And Hornbill, they're there 5 days a week, and they're not alone. You can go down the river, and everybody's there 5 days a week, and they're 95% attendance. Even when I was at Old Perry Walker, Carr was our feeder, to give you an idea how good we were, but we couldn't get the kids to come in the summertime because they had to work. The family needed the extra income, so we would play Shaw in week one, and that was the only time Hank Tierney would play us. Hank, let's play week 5. No, week 1, because he knew week 1 we weren't going to be ready. By week 3 we'd be ready, but week 1 we were not ready. He'd play us week 1. He would not play us any other time, and he'd beat us every year. And he knew exactly what he had, exactly what was going to happen. He knew what we were doing, and I think Booker T is going to fall in that same category. So, but we're gonna look at it and see what happens, and we wish Hornbill all the luck this year as they turn it around and get back.
It's always the wild card of a new coach too, because you don't know how long it took everybody to get on the same page and the same book and same library. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, Lutcher plays Slidell. That's another one. I don't remember Lutcher and Slidell ever playing. If you did, I don't know what happened, but interesting matchup there.
Obviously Lutcher's loaded again.
When are they not?
They've got plenty of depth in their offensive and defensive lines. They've got running backs. They got skills, and of course this year they have Coach's son. Coach's son
as the quarterback. Yeah. And they're going to want some fine memories from this season, aren't they?
So, it's going to be a fun year for Lutcher. He what's his first name? I'm sorry.
Dwayne.
Not Dwayne, the son.
Oh, Zach.
Zach. He got some playing time last year. He got some minutes. He's thrown the ball. He's prepared. And it's going to be a special year for Dwayne, coaching your own son.
Oh, talk about that a little bit, because you did that.
I got the opportunity to come. My first year at Destrehan, my son was the senior quarterback, and I got a chance to walk in and be on the field, be in the coaches meetings, and all as you prep for your own son, and it's quite a special time. It's a lot of pressure too now. I'm sure that it's going to be pressure on Dwayne, and certainly the pressure's on Zach.
Here's a fun fact. His son, Daniel, my stepson, was the quarterback at Destrehan. I never got to see my kid play. Never got to cover him. The only time I ever covered him, he played in that Army All-Star game after, and I went to it. I didn't cover it. Never got to cover my kid. Never got to see him play. I was always on a Friday night game, and then the powers that be decided that they didn't think I should be in the River Parishes when he was a senior, so they moved me to Orleans Parish. That went over well. And so I never got to see Daniel play. I heard he was pretty good, though.
Well, back to the game.
Yeah.
And Slidell. Now, Slidell has their head coach is Larry Favre.
You know him.
Larry, I know well. Larry was our young coach at Old Perry Walker back when I was there in the late '80s, and so Larry's been doing this a little while. Larry's been very successful in different places he's gone to. He's been at Fontainebleau. He's been at he's bounced around. He was the athletic director for the entire parish, and he said, "I miss the kids," so he went back to coaching. So he's doing that, and I say he's the coach. He's not the coach anymore. He's actually the principal.
Oh,
But he just recently gave that up. But he's going to have an influence in that program, and just give a little shout out to Larry Favre. He was a fabulous young coach and a lot of fun to be around.
there you go. And last but not least, West St. John plays the Young Audiences Charter School. This is a 4 p.m. game Friday over in Gretna at Burmaster Field. We got nothing. I don't know. I don't know anything about them. I know that there's no rivalry there, but I know Coach Duran Thomas, who I covered, is looking to get West St. John going and get them on track and do some good things on the field. And I know that he's expecting high things from his players.
Well, it got to the point where their numbers were so low that it was dangerous.
Yeah.
And now they're regrouping. They're getting their numbers back. They're going to be able to platoon a little bit, and he's doing the right thing. You go play people that you can play against. He's still in a tough district with Barnadoe and and Riverside and St. Martin's, so he's still in a tough spot. But
But I was doing the scores from a couple of years ago, trying to catch up because my book was a little out of date. And they just a couple of years ago, they were kicking some butt. So they're not that far off. I mean, everybody has a down year here and there. So I'm hoping that they get back where they need to be and make their team competitive again. So there you go.
And traditionally, they used to be one of the top teams in the River Parishes. You could count on them being in the dome 3 out of 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. They were that good at that time. So, I wish them all the luck. It's a great little community, and it really needs a pick me up. So.
Yep. And our daughter works in Edgard, so there you go. All right, so that's week 1. That's our schedule. Next week, when we get together again, we'll tell you how everybody did. I'm not going to predict like winners and losers and stuff. That made me the most hated woman in the River Parishes. When they maybe do that once upon a time. So, but each week, this is kind of what we'll do. We'll tell some stories. And you're going to introduce the dog. Okay, there you go. That's Lola. We will tell some stories. We'll talk about some great plays. Hopefully, that some of the players that did really well and impressed us. And we would like we said in the future, we'd like to get some other sports couples. If you know somebody, if you and your significant other would like to be one. Drop us a line on our Facebook page, that Sports Couple Podcast. You can tweet at us or X at us on Twitter. We have a Twitter. We also have a YouTube channel, that Sports Couple on YouTube. Anywhere you find us, just leave us a message and volunteer yourself, and we'll get you on, and we'll either come out and interview you in person or hook you up remotely so we can talk about the good old days. It's not easy. It's not easy being a coach's wife. It's not easy being a female sports writer, no. But it's not easy being the coach's wife either. And so when you get to your games and you go to your games and you see the mom with the kids sitting out there, and nobody's talking to her, or everybody's staying away from her, or she's trying to stay away from everybody else. Be kind. She probably had a rough day. She's probably having a rough night. And especially if things don't go the way they hope, they might get even rougher. A lot of people, I would not go when Marty would play an away game. A lot of times I wouldn't go. And the people would say, "You're not going to the game?" And I'd say, "No." And they'd say, "Why?" And I'd say, "Because if I'm driving to wherever you're playing, and I get a flat tire, who am I supposed to call? What am I supposed to do? I'm out there by myself, and he's on the bus with the kids, you know? One of our coaches, I'm going to let him tell the story, but one of our coaches was in pregame last year, and his wife called and said, I got a flat tire. I'm on the side of the road. And he said, what do you want me to do? I'm in pregame. And so, and it happened last year. I went to one playoff game. Where was that? North of Baton Rouge. What was, doesn't matter. We went to one playoff game, and driving home on the interstate on I-10, a young woman sideswiped me, and I was a few cars in front of the bus, and he was on the bus, and the bus driver said, I think one of our people just got in a wreck. And Marty looked, and he went, yep, that's Lori. And he had to just keep on going because he's got a busload of baseball players that he has to get back to school. Meanwhile, I'm on the side of the road calling 911. So be kind to your coaches' wives. Please give them an extra hand. If you see them and they got a baby and a diaper bag and a car seat and a stroller and everything else, give them a hand. That happened to me once too.
Don't take the baby.
Don't take the baby. Somebody just took my baby and walked off, and I left me the back mule with everything else. So be kind to your coaches' wives. That's my tip for the week. We'll be back next week with another episode of That Sports Couple. We hope you'll come back. We hope you were entertained. We hope we didn't mess this up too much. We hope we didn't cough too much. Still got a little lingering thing here. And we'll see you next week. That Sports Couple. Bye, Marty.
We love you.
Yes, we do. And each other.